Hey guys, it's Restocker here coming at you with another Dota 2 video, and it's been quite some time since my last Dota 2 video, so hopefully I'm not too rusty. Maybe I'll stumble over my words a little bit, but hopefully you guys don't mind that and I can create a decent video for you beautiful guys and gals out there for you to enjoy. So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to focus mostly on kind of analyzing how to lane essentially, and how to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the heroes that you're playing and the heroes you're playing against. So I'm going to talk about things like positioning, constantly looking at your opponent's inventories, understanding just choosing certain things like tango or salve very early on in the game. Things that sound, so small and things that typically you don't even think about, but at the highest level, these are very unconscious decisions that these players make. But if you're, an intermediate player or a beginner player, this is something that you really want to kind of understand why you're making these decisions. So let's unpause the video here, and you'll get a little bit more, you'll understand the gist of where this video is going to go as I kind of get into it here. So the first lane we're going to focus on is the mid lane, and some of these things are going to be applicable to the other lanes. I'll talk about the mid lane and then I'll move on to the side lane as the video goes on. And so the first thing you want to do in the mid lane is, as soon as you get into your lane, you want to click on your opponent to see what item they have. So as you're going to see, the puck is actually going to click onto the invoker, and he's going to see, he does it very quickly. And what you want to do, I'm going to pause the video. What he wanted to see was, he wanted to see, I don't know why it shows puck here, even though it's invoker. What he wanted to see was what region Invoker had, and did he have a null talisman? Did he go for something weird like Blaze of Attack? Does he have the Ironwood branch, which is actually a very important thing. So these are the kind of things that you want to do in the any lane, really, not just the mid lane. You always want to check what starting items your opponent has. So the thing I want to talk about the Ironwood branch is, this is something that you'll always see in high level play, is you want to start with the Ironwood branch, and once you place the Ironwood branch, like you click the Ironwood branch or you press the hotkey and you click the ground, it places a tree, and when you eat that tree, it heals you for 230 HP. So instead of the tango healing for 16 seconds, it heals for 32 seconds, essentially doubling the healing that you get. You still heal the same per second, it just lasts twice as long. And this is a pretty cool trick. It just kind of it's a little bit, it helps you in case you miss like a bounty rune or something like that, so it's kind of a safety net as you wait for your next healing item. So the next thing I want to talk about is the choice between tango and salve. This is something that sounds so silly to talk about, but it's very important. A tango is much better when you're playing against a hero that you trade right clicks with periodically, or if the hero has low nuke damage like Puck. For example, his nuke does 70 damage at level 1. It's pretty low. Waning Rift does 100 damage at level 1, also relatively low. So it's not something you have to worry about. He's not a a great nuking hero. You're not playing against a hero like Shadow Fiend or Lina. These heroes are significantly better than Puck at nuking, and in these cases you may want to go salve over tango. Likewise, if you're playing a Dragon Knight or a Timbersaw, who's a Storm Spirit mid hero with low attack range, and you're playing against a hero like Invoker, once Invoker hits level 4 and he gets Cold Snap and Forward Spirit, a couple points of Exort, he can probably do about 300 HP to you if he gets a good Cold Snap combo off. In that case, you want to pick up a salve, so it's a little bit better. So it's something that it sounds so dumb to talk about, but it's pretty important, I think. So I just want to highlight that. So another thing is, when you're playing in any lane really, but specifically let's talk about the mid lane a little bit here, is you want to stand either here or here with these heroes, because it makes it much harder. For example, if the Invoker and you're going to get ganked by Bane, he's probably going to come from the river here if you're pushed up, or he's going to come from here to kind of gank you in the lane. So you always want to kind of sit around this position so you can kind of just juke around the trees if you have to. It makes it a little bit harder for the Bane to get to you. If he doesn't position perfectly, he might walk into the vision of the tower, and much like likewise for the Puck. If Witch Doctor ever want to gank you, he's probably going to come somewhere over here. He might wrap around all this way and come over here. So you want to stand as far away from the lane as possible, because it might, you have a lot of day vision. You might be able to spot the Witch Doctor if he doesn't, if he's ganking without a smoke or something. And it also makes it much harder for your opponents to dive you under tower. So you want to stay as close as you can to your tower in the case of you being a puck. Another thing you want to do is when you're playing, regardless of what lane you're in, you want to constantly click on your opponent to not only see if they've picked up any items recently, so every like 20-30 seconds you want to be clicking on your opponent. The other thing is you want to click on your opponent to see how much mana they have. That's a really important thing, is can this opponent nuke me down, can they use this spell to get out? So you always want to understand every possible option that your opponent has through the use of their skills, not only their positioning. So that's something really important to talk about. So it looks like Bane has actually pick up a pretty fortuitous Invis rune here. And he's actually going to go try to gank the Invoker. As you can see, he's sitting in a very nice spot here, which makes this gank significantly harder for the Bane. So he's sitting at about 400 HP here. He's got a Tango running. Puck has very low mana. Invoker knows this. So Puck's actually going to hit level 4 right here. So even if he hits level 4, he can't actually use Waning Rift here, so he doesn't have enough mana. And that was a little bit unfortunate from the Bane there, because if he waited for Puck to get the bottle that he's sending himself, that gank may have been a little better. It probably wouldn't have got them the kill, but it would have gave them a little bit better of a chance than simply kind of half-assing it there. So that's really all I wanted to talk about for the mid lane. I suppose for the early laning phase, let's kind of head on over to the side lane here. And what I want to talk about is the innate strengths and weaknesses of heroes. So every hero in Dota, before you put even a single skill point into one of your abilities, has innate strengths and weaknesses. And these come through things like HP, movement speed, base mana, base attack time, your base damage. All these things kind of factor in, like armor. All these are very important things that you want to consider. So when you're playing your hero, you have to understand what are the strengths and weaknesses of my hero, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the hero I'm laning against, and how do I play to my strengths while mitigating my weaknesses. So it's a very important thing. So let's look at a specific example here. So we got Undying. What's Undying good at? He's got very high base HP, he's got pretty decent armor, and his movement speed is above average. Let's look at some of his spells. So what are his spells good at? They have, decent range. They're not great, they're decent, but a lot of them, for example, especially his decay, which is kind of the bread and butter of the hero, especially in the early laning phase, is that you need to kind of clump up against this hero. So if I'm playing the Undying, what do I ask myself? How do I get a lot of heroes to kind of clump up so that I can land my decays? Do I have to pressure the enemy carry so that the supports kind of get closer to him and they can land a nice decay? If I'm playing the supports, I have to ask myself, alright, this guy's going to pressure my carry. How do I position myself in such a way that I'm helping him, but at the same time it's not one of those, hey, I'm helping by giving this guy decay stacks. You want to position yourself in such a way that you can help your carry while mitigating the strengths of your opponent, playing on their weaknesses. Alright, that's probably one of the hardest things to kind of understand and do on an do naturally. You don't even have to think about it. You just play the game and you get there. And that's something that you really get a lot from just playing the game a lot. It's something that you'll eventually develop or understand, and it's definitely something that's very helpful if you just kind of think about it. Just take a second to think about the stuff that you're going to do in the game. So I actually watched a little bit of this replay. Let me just skip ahead here. I think, ooh, did I skip too much? I'm just going to jump around until I find it. So yeah, here, this is what I want to talk about. So we're going to see some really nice skill usage here from the Arc Warden. So Arc Warden picking up his from the Bane here. Bane actually has a really nice play. So Arc Warden picked up an Invis rune. Unlike his buddy Bane here, he's not gonna blow his load early. He's gonna chill here. Prudent Hunter knows when to strike. Learning a few tips from Bounty Hunter here, and he's just gonna chill here. He's gonna wait until all his heroes, until all his allies are in position. Maybe he's telling them, this is how we're gonna attack. They go onto the Undying, and as you can see, Bane actually nightmares the Slardar here, preventing the starter from being able to do anything. So that's a really good usage of your spells. It seems like something that's so simple, but I can guarantee you a lot of players would have just ran past the starter and they would have tried to brain sap the Undying. But Bane, takes the time, nightmares the slaughter, makes sure that he gets a very clean kill onto the Undying there. Absolutely no trouble. They don't even have to worry about the slaughter. The guy's literally gone from the fight for about 5 seconds? Yeah, it's gone for 5 seconds. And that's just once again playing onto the strengths of your hero. You can eliminate the threat. So right here, what's Undying good at? He's good at staying alive. You probably don't want to tower dive and Undying. Through Decay and Soul Rip, this guy's one of the hardest heroes to tower dive. He even has 6 wand charges that he's just kind of holding on to. So he's making this kill significantly harder to get than it otherwise would have been. So Undying here, playing to the strength of his hero, the opponent's kind of playing into the strength of the hero, so that's not something that you want to do. And whoa, that actually did a lot of damage there. That were paying dividends for the Arc Warden. So that's what Arc Warden's good at. Arc Warden good at isolating heroes. Bane can also kind of help. You can help the Arc Warden do that. So he plays onto the strengths of the Arc Warden. And that's what you want to do when you're playing heroes. You want to make sure that they kind of mesh together really well and kind of accentuate each other's strengths while mitigating what your opponent can do. So that's kind of how you want to play Dota. You always want to do things like check your opponent's inventory. For example, if you're playing in the off lane, and you see the support run into the secret shop here, and or side shop I should say, and they come back out of it. You want to see if they pick up a observer ward. They have a TP scroll now, so you can tell maybe your mid laner. Bane has a TP, watch out, he might be ganking you, or he can counter gank or something like that. So feeding your team information is really important. Always looking at your opponent's inventory is important. What else? If you're playing the off lane, much like the mid lane, you probably want to stand here because it makes it much harder for the enemy safe lane to kind of gank you. So if you're chilling like over here, they have to take maybe like 3-4 more steps to get to you. Whereas if you're staying here, they can just kind of walk in and land us down. Of course, it depends on where they're standing. If you saw the enemy support run into the side shop, you no longer want to stand here. It's a kind of dumb place to stand. But if you saw them run to the side shop, maybe you finagle for a little bit of position over here. It all depends on the enemy heroes. Do they have long range stuns? Is it an Earthshaker? Are you playing with a little bit of a more low range like Bane? Is it a slow hero like Crystal Maiden? These are all things that you have to think about, and you have to ask yourself. You make like a quick checklist. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? How do I play to my strengths? How do I mitigate my opponent's weaknesses? So that's essentially the gist of the video. I don't want to make it go any longer than it already has. So hopefully you guys found this interesting. And yeah, I plan to make more videos in the future. Hopefully I don't get lazy and go on another 2-year hiatus. But anyways, until next time, hope you guys enjoyed, and GG.